Now, there's literally some maps where there's hardly any room, so you almost never see Reaper openers there. But just based on the map alone, it immediately becomes worth it. The Reaper now up to 2 kills, so it is more than worth it. It's going to spot the other gateways. And it's one of those things where obviously they can't go the same build because they're identical races, so that's not even physically possible. But it is as similar as it can get. An expansion with 3 gateways is very comparable to an expansion with 3 barracks. The follow-up is going to be a Robo. So Minigun, this is like as standard as it gets, other than the Proxy Twilight Council down the bottom left side.
Yes, it's the Proxy Twilight Council that starts to get really, really funky, isn't it? That's a very odd place to put it, but it's all you can really do. If a Reaper scouted everything you've got, then you can't just... this is the state of the game where this Reaper shouldn't even be in the base, but it is. I think it's finally going to get... Yeah, it's going to get cleaned up now by the looks of it. So, this Proxy Twilight is an interesting move. And let's see if Maker smells it, because Maker might be saying to himself, you know what? Where's your tech? You want to tell me where it is? Because I don't know. I have no idea. And now we're going to see the Dark Shrine go down as well. So Maker has got to get a smell of what's coming. Otherwise, he is going to be in a huge amount of trouble.
Alrighty, the Marines are going to be moving out. The Mothership Core here does have enough energy for a Photon Overcharge. That is a surprising amount of Marines. The Zealot's going to get taken out, only doing 1 hit of damage there. And this will cause him to warp in 2 additional sentries. He doesn't want to be doing this, though, because he's kind of racing against the clock. The Dark Shrine's on the way. He probably has a War Prism on the way, and he wants to have that all good to go at the exact same time. There's a Photon Overcharge. Does force it. Maker may think that this is a... Oh, the Mothership Core's got to be careful. What are you doing, Mothership
so
Core?
Close. So
almost
close.
That. Maker may see this as a win, but if he does not prepare for the DT drop, he's going to be in a lot of trouble. Keep in mind that he can also load in DTs on the right side to... he doesn't even have to warp them in. He can just unload them.
Yeah.
But either way, it's got to be hitting here in just a matter of moments. And this army is completely out of position.
Yeah, I mean, even if it was in position, it's going to be hard to deal with this, honestly. Yeah, he is. I think he's going to do exactly what you said, which is he's going to deploy this. He's going to warp the DTs in. He's going to load them up as soon... There we go. We're going to see the warp in right now. He's going to load them up, and then he's going to drop them in, and that gives his warp gates more time to cool down. It's better than warping them in there because you've got a few seconds of awareness. You could just drop it right here. This DT is going to get in there. Let's see how much energy... Alright, so there's scan energy on the main and the scan energy on the natural. So unless he drops 2 mules now, it's going to be pretty good. Oh, and actually Maker's going to make his way right into the base, but a nice trap here thrown down with those force fields. The DT is in position and is now doing damage. There is scan energy available, but he needs units to kill it. So he does have those units now. Maker is doing so much damage with this. He has got himself right into the main mineral line there of his opponent. There's the scan. That's going to be dead DT as well. Trying to focus down the road, but if he gets that, that would be absolutely huge. Now trying to respond to this Dark Templar play.
Yeah, he didn't lose as many workers as I originally thought he would. Both players sitting at around 40.
Yeah.
And I think Maker doing just enough damage that the fact that he got DTs in his main base has been negated a little bit. But he doesn't... Oh, now he does have a missile turret actually at the mineral line. I don't know if that army's in position here.
It needs to kill
Maker,
that.
You gotta protect the missile turret there, buddy.
He's focused, man. He's focusing on trying to take down the natural, which is not going to happen. I think he's going to get surrounded by probes here, and damage is going to be done, certainly, but... Yeah, this DT actually did more than it should have, considering Maker was just so focused on trying to do damage at the natural. Okay, so things have now stabilized for both players, and that, in my opinion, does actually put Maker sizably in the lead. He's got a way bigger army, and he also has mules as well. So he'll be able to retransfer to his main base, start mining again, and this DT ploy's kind of shut down now. He's ready for it. We're going to see another Dark Templar drop, but Maker does have units ready to actually pick this up.
As long as the DT goes near the missile turret, which he will, and... Oh, does kill off one SCV right there. The saturation not nearly as even as it should be between the two bases, but he's working on getting out more SCVs. And he's pushing out here. Did the Mothership Core die?
Mothership Core's dead. It's not in play. There's like so little here. There's actually no sentries either. This is big. Like, Maker could actually destroy this natural very easily. And there's the GG!
And GG!
Wow, what an aggressive timing there from Maker. And gimmicky play... forced, I suppose, from Minigun. And I think that's the cool thing about what he did there. Because he was so good with that Reaper Scout, he put Minigun in a situation where Minigun wasn't comfortable. And he threw Minigun off completely with that. He tries for the proxy play, but then takes a huge amount of damage from the straight-up aggression of Maker.
Yeah, he needed to do more worker damage with those DTs. There was no army there was no detection, but the workers were still able to escape down to that natural. And then Marine Marauder, I mean, like we were saying before, you want to be aggressive with the Marine Marauder as early, not necessarily as early as you can, but you definitely, the sooner the better, because the longer the game goes on, that's when minigun starts to get comfortable. So Maker, I think, did the correct choice there, being more aggressive. I thought he was in trouble when that army got sliced in half, but he was still able to kill a lot of probes when they were transferring through. So that is exactly what he needed to take the win.
Well, at the end of the day, Minigun wasn't able to stop the units from getting up the ramp. So you can slice the army up, but if half of it gets into the main and starts doing huge amounts of damage, you are in no position. You can't walk past the remaining units on the natural just to go and fight them. You've got to clean them up first. In the meantime, that army did so much damage. That was some really great play by Maker. Excellent control. That Reaper control was astronomically good. He was really, really good, and Minigun was forced into an awkward spot. We'll be back after this break to find out whether or not Minigun can pull it back, or whether Maker will put down a second root player in Group A and advance to the round of 8. All right, this could be the final game. Will Minigun be able to pull it back? That was a surprising loss, I think, for a lot of people. Maker came out, all pistons firing, and obliterated Minigun. Like, he really did. Like, his control was great, his timings were great, too. He busts out some really aggressive timings against Minigun's strategy, and Minigun's Dark Templar play fails completely.
He had to do damage with that Dark Templar. Yeah. I mean, even if he had warped in the DTs into defensive position and went for Archons, it's kind of a weird timing where Archons aren't really that useful because there's nothing to protect them from being kited. Yeah. So he had to go at that point with the attack. And I think the important thing to remember is it wasn't only just a Dark Templar attack, it also incorporated the Warp Prism, which is not only the cost of the Warp Prism, but also the cost of the Robo, which didn't serve any other purpose after that. So it just was a bad situation to be in, and I think if Minigun can deny the scouting a little bit earlier, not even trying to hide his tech, and then maybe just play a little bit more standard, then he'll be able to take this game.
Yeah, we will find out. Akalon Wastes will be the venue for this particular encounter. This is, of course, a Minigun's choice, so let's see what he's got prepared for us here. Spawning to the southeast position, ladies and gentlemen, in the red trunks, playing Protoss. For Team Root, it is Minigun versus his opponent with a surprising 1-0 lead, showing why he's, people call these guys ladder heroes a lot of the time because you don't see Maker in a lot of tournaments, but you see him just destroying the ladder, right? This is the kind of play that gets him there. Let's see if this is enough to overcome Minigun, an experienced tournament player in the blue trunks, playing Terran. To the northwest, it is Chaos Latin Gamers Minigun. No, it isn't. It's Maker, not Minigun.
Although Minigun is a pretty fun name to say, so
yeah,
I don't
like
blame
Minigun.
You there.
Like, can we just have an entire tournament of just Minigun? It would be great. Minigun.
I would be okay with that.
Minigun.
It's kind of like when Hero played versus Hero.
Oh, that was great. Yeah.
And my favorite part is that they both play Protoss, so that is you can't even say the Terran player. I don't know how anyone would ever cast that. That is like caster Nightmare. Olympics right there.
Nightmare. Absolute nightmare. Oh, man. Anyway, folks, let's see how this one goes. So we still have about 27,000 viewers, which is really cool. I know a lot of the Europeans have gone to bed now. This did go a bit later than we anticipated. We're getting on to about the 6-hour mark now. It's mostly due to technical problems. Hopefully, the week 2 will be significantly quicker and a little bit slicker. And of course, we did have some crazy long games. I don't think anyone expected the PvP series between Minigun and Puck to take over an hour.
Well, and also, when we started the game, or started the tournament with game 1 being 50 minutes long, that's when you know it's going to be a long night. Gateway going to be going down for Minigun, Gas as well. And I just got to say how quickly Maker went from being 1 game away from being eliminated to being 1 game away from advancing. And that's kind of how StarCraft is if you get in the right mentality, get in the right headspace, then just keep playing. And that's exactly what he did, and is now 1 game away from knocking out his second root player.
Well, he's going to go for the same build again, which is cool. You know, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, especially when you have a map in hand, because then you force your opponent to adapt to it. If they fail to adapt to it, they lose. If they manage to adapt to it, you still have a map left. So you don't have to show another build. You can just hold on, use the same build, and then you can think, all right, okay, this is what I'm going to do. So is Minigun actually going to build a Stalker this time? Because the funny... I hope I'm right here. I really do, because otherwise I'm going to be called out. A Sentry actually beats a Reaper in a straight-up fight, if that actually happens. Of course, you would never have a straight-up fight because you would just micro out and then micro back in once you've regenerated. But, yeah, a Sentry can beat a Reaper. So it's okay to get a Sentry. It's okay to get a Mothership Core. But there was just so much scouting information gained by Maker this time around. I have to wonder if he can pull that off again.
Well, Minigun does keep selecting it. Does decide to go for the Stalker this time. Zelt will actually get a...
Nope.
No,
almost.
It started the animation, but didn't quite finish it off there. Mothership Core does spawn, starts shooting it down right away.
There's the Stalker.
And again, focusing on getting a Stalker out so that he can actually clean out the scouting, because that made him so uncomfortable last time. We do have the double barracks now up for Maker on the back of an expansion here, so I think you realized, hey, a straight-up game actually does work, so let's try that again.
Yeah, I can play straight up against this guy. I don't have to use gimmicky play, because I'm good enough to make sure that isn't really a problem. So I like this a lot. I like the fact that he's not throwing in any crazy stuff right now. I think maybe you save that for the final game if you go for another macro game and you realize, yeah, Minigun's figured me out now. Because if you think about it, Minigun didn't get to play a straight-up macro game. He wanted to, but he was forced into a situation where he had to use something a bit gimmicky, actually proxy his Twilight, basically cheese, in order to deal with what was coming at him. So Minigun has got to use a different strategy this time around. He's got to be able to defend better than what he did previously, and where possible, avoid having to use anything a little bit weird.
Mothership Core poking around a little bit. If you're wondering why Maker did not react to that, keep in mind that buildings have less vision distance than units do. So the Mothership Core, if you look at the Mothership Core, it actually can see a lot. Like, even just looking at the minimap, it's like, it almost feels like a watchtower. So floating that around to see exactly what's going on is something that a lot of Protoss players have started to do. It's not necessarily to kill anything. It's not necessarily to do anything like that. Just think of it like a really fast-moving Overlord that you can eventually just slowly move back to your base. The One Reaper is still out, which means that this tech could be scouted. And what is the tech? Well, still just going to be a robo here.
Yeah, it's pretty safe, honestly. This doesn't really reveal all that much, I feel. Since the expansion isn't down, we don't see 2 more gas, but the Twilight's coming down now. So this actually is probably going to get scouted if he doesn't respond very quickly to this, and this would be great. Oh, can he get in? He's going to scout this, I think. Maybe. Oh, force field! Ah! That was really close. I don't think he saw that Twilight Council. Let me double check. No, he didn't. He saw the Robo, but no Twilight Council. So that was a great save there by Minigun.
Yeah, now it's a situation for Maker where he's like, all right, is it going to be some sort of Twilight tech or is it going to be Colossus tech? You need a completely opposite responses depending on which one it is. So is it going to be a scan to try and reveal that? Is he going to play a little bit in the dark? You can see right now a Maker doing the same thing he did last game.
Yeah, this big timing. It's a combat shield timing. It's really simple as that. It hits when combat shield is up. It hits when your opponent doesn't have a lot. And honestly, like, if Minigun loses the Stalker in the center of the map, oh, yeah, that would be disastrous. But let's see if he does a better job holding it this time around.
Photon overcharge comes up, needs a force field the ramp. If those Marines get any closer, I think the Marines are just going to swing right the hell out of there. Yeah. He did force the photon overcharge, which is nice. That means less harassment capabilities. Stalker's going to be chasing this, which is also smart, but you do have to be very, very careful because the Marines can abuse those vision blockers But it doesn't look like that is going to happen as they just
Ooh.
retreat home.
Look at that pylon placement there by Minigun. He managed to sneak that one out. That's really good. That will enable him to put a position in play where he's able to sort of threaten at this third base here.
Could throw down another pylon as well. He does have the watchtower on the right side, and no one opting to go for the watchtower on the left side. Keep in mind that these watchtowers are a little bit out of the way, so you're not really going to be spotting anything other than maybe a drop later on. But for now, having watchtower control doesn't mean a whole lot. Double forge on the way for Minigun, which is great for Protoss unless Terran punishes this at the exact right moment.
The thing is, there's already one timing that Maker used that didn't really do anything. So he was looking to do a little bit of damage, a little bit of a poke. And last time, his poke actually won in the game. This time around, he wasn't able to do anything with it. Yeah, he forces a photon overcharge. It doesn't matter because there's no follow-up aggression. So this Mothership Core is going to have 200 energy again by the time the next one comes in. So he's got to play the more standard timing, which is he maybe gets 2 or 4 medevacs, and then he either pressures or he starts to drop.
It does look like Blink is done. This is definitely not a Blink Stalker all-in by any means, because there's only 5 Stalkers here. But what he can do is scare this army if it was just pure Marine. There are the 3 Marauders there, though, so it's probably a good idea to head on home. Yep. Marauders, kind of ridiculous versus Gateway units. But again, like I was saying, punishing the 1-1 can really hurt a Protoss player here. Maker moving out, that 1-1 is not going to be done. It doesn't matter how much you chrono boost that out. So he's going to have to rely on pure gateway units. Oh, no, is he actually supply blocked right now? Yes, he is. That Colossus just now beginning. And this is a moment
really
that
bad.
all Protoss players hate to watch, but he's got to force field that ramp right now.
Yeah, he's got to make it work pretty well. There we go. So he manages that. He takes out a couple of units here and there. He could elevate, but that's very, very risky against Blink Stalkers. That's the one thing that Minigun's got right now, is any drop attempt is going to be shut down pretty hard by Blink Stalkers, assuming that Minigun's doing the right thing. Another force field goes in. It leaks, though. He actually gets a few units through, but doesn't really do a lot. He's actually going to drop right on top of the army. I don't know if I like that, but it looks like he's managed to get in a good position. Photon Overcharge goes up as well, but so far he hasn't been able to do any damage to the economy of his opponent. As you said, the Colossus is actually now in play. It just got in there, so I think Minigun holds this. He's going right for the Colossus. He's not going to get it. And that was disastrous for Maker. Minigun completely punishes that.
Risk. Yeah, needless risk to try and kill it up. I mean, that's like what you do in Platinum League, is try and kill the high-level Colossus on the high ground there. But he just sacrificed his whole army for that.
Yeah,
not good.
I've done that like at least 3 times the past 5 days. You know, all credit to me, like 2 out of 3 times it worked. But in this case, Minigun did shut that down hard. He punished his opponent really hard for getting impetuous and getting overly aggressive. And now Minigun's in a really nice spot. He has an upgrade lead. Started his 2-2. The armory did come down. 4 Vikings at a time coming out here for Maker. And this is... Maker does tend to do this whole double starport thing, which is something I've noticed. A lot of Terran just use 1 starport until the later game where the Colossi count gets overwhelming. But honestly, I think that Minigun is now in his comfort zone. This is the kind of situation where he just destroyed Maker in the first series.
This is exactly not only where Minigun's going to feel comfortable, but Protoss in general. Again, if you set the pace of the game in the early to mid-game, then you're in pretty good shape for the late game. The 2-2 attack is on the way with the armor as well. Not sure if he's going to be able to get that up in time, but really I can't imagine how Maker can put on too much pressure other than multi-pronged drops. It's just tough because there's so few Terran players out there who can control the way they need to versus a late-game Protoss army to consistently win, to make it look one-sided. Yeah. And that's exactly the kind of maneuvers that Maker is going to have to pull out here moving forward, because just going Marine, Marauder, Medevac, it's an old-school style, but it is very susceptible to the Tier 3 Protoss.
It absolutely is, because you end up in the situation where the Protoss is constantly tech switching, and you have to match that. So if he goes Templar, you need Ghosts. If he goes Colossus, you need Vikings, and you need the right number. And what I've seen lately, a great example, you remember Beyond versus Crank in the GSTL? What happened there was the Terran player over-dedicated to making specialist units. He made too many Ghosts and too many Vikings, and then didn't engage well. But here it comes. We're going to see, I think, at least 1 Colossus dead. Oh, that was... Well, he takes the Mothership Core out, but he could have easily taken 1 Colossus there. So I don't like that engagement from Maker. I really don't. And Minigun is still looking strong, but we might see some more aggression. No drop coming in yet. So that's interesting that he just kind of pokes at the front here. That's allowed Minigun to establish a 3rd base, whereas Maker is actually still on 2.
I was going to say, I can't believe that Maker hasn't made a 3rd base here. What I think he's going to have to do, since this 3rd base is going to be so late, is just go for it. Either get as many units as he can off this 2 base. As soon as one mineral patch disappears in his main base, which is going to be in just a moment, I think is he going to bring these SCVs with him? Yes, he is. All right, I was going to say he has to just go for this because his expansion timing is way too late. He's just got to bring the SCVs on.
Yeah, he's all in now.
Yeah, this is predictable at this point because if you don't see a third base by now,
it's going to get seen as well. Minigun
and
like spots that with Obs.
Yeah, and I was going to say he needs to cancel that Nexus. He does. He was going to throw down a 4th one as well, but the Observer spots this. Minigun knows what's up. He's got the Concave. How many sentries does he have? Does he have only 3, so he's not going to be able to buy much time with that, but I don't know. Well, we'll see if this actually ends up working out. A lot of times you think it doesn't, and then it does, so we'll see.
It can, potentially. There is no Storm on the map, which I think is the big edge that Maker's got here, but obviously he doesn't want to just run directly into the Colossus. That would be pretty bad indeed. The SCVs are at the front and immediately get obliterated right there. The Vikings take down 1, takes down a 2nd. Looking to try and break this. I think he might have what he needs to break this, you know. I think Minigun being caught with that Nexus going up, trying to get tech, trying to go into a transition, might be in an ugly spot, but he's not down yet. Good force fields coming. More reinforcements coming in from Maker from the back here. The Colossi count is at 0. We've now got Archons in the fray. These Vikings are not going to do anything. They land. He knows that. Another Archon falls. Maker's still looking pretty good here, but Minigun is defending, and we need to see better play here from Maker. He's got to focus fire. Can he break his way? He's into the natural right now and takes down another Archon. Things are looking all right for Maker right now. Will Minigun actually go out to this full-on all-in right here? Great use of the force field. He may have to sack the natural, but it's 59 probes to 7 workers. If he holds onto his main, he can still win this.
Yeah, I mean, there's really no way for Maker to get up this ramp and actually destroy him. No. Minigun has a lot of money in the bank. Even if it's only Zealots, that doesn't matter. And even if he loses this expansion, like, that also doesn't matter.
Yeah,
so
Minigun's got the supply lead now in terms of his army. I think that with no way to get rid of this Colossus, I think this is probably going to be GG pretty soon. The all-in almost worked, but Minigun held onto his main base and also had that 3rd base going, which I don't think Maker actually knows about. There's the GG, and 1 apiece now in this best-of-3 series. We're going to the final game of Group A of SHOUTcraft America.
I gotta say, man, lots of close series here for day number 1. I think was only one of them 2-0 and the rest were 2-1. Either way, it's been several 2-1s right now.
Yep.
And it still could go either way. I feel like the fact that Maker was never able to do a lot of upfront damage, again, set the pace for Minigun, and he was able to establish that. I think canceling that 4th base was the smart choice. He hadn't placed it yet, but he had spent the money to place it, and canceling that from going down, making a lot of stuff, getting the Concave there. I mean, really the problem was that when Maker ran up the ramp, like all 3 or 4 Colossus just basically killed all the SCVs in like one shot. You have to rely on those SCVs absorbing a couple of volleys. Choke points are pretty good when you're the Protoss defending, and that's why it didn't end up working out.
All right, the final game is coming in, folks. The final match of the evening between Maker and Minigun is currently 1 apiece in this best-of-3 series. 1 advances to the round of 8 where the money goes up, and 1... well, he will be going home with, I wouldn't say nothing. He's had tips and, of course, his $75 prize, but he wants more. Let's find out who gets it right after this break. This is it, ladies and gentlemen. This is it. The final map of today's play. Thank you for sticking with us through all the problems. I hope that you had a good time, and we promise to improve for Week 2. Maker versus Minigun, 1 apiece. Final map will be Neoplanet S. Husky. Who wins?
Oh, God, TB. I'm going to say Minigun. How about you?
Think? All right. I think that if... I would fully expect Maker to actually pull out something weird here, honestly. I think maybe he thinks, oh, right, straight up macro against Minigun. Unless I'm able to make that early game aggression work, not going to happen. So I think maybe he pulls out something funky. Maybe we see a lot more Hellbats in the composition again. I hope he doesn't go for the Hellbat drop again, because that was really bad. But we'll see. I'm really interested, man. This is going to be a good match.
Well, it definitely shows that the format of this tournament has a lot of equally matched players out there, as we have had a lot of 2-1s so far. And this is only the first group. More groups to come. Not today, though, because I'm probably going to fall asleep if we do too many more games, because we've been going for quite some time. But thank you to everyone for tuning in. This has been day number 1 of SHOUTcraft America. It has been an absolute honor, and if I'm not mistaken, this is the absolute last game of today, no matter what happens.
Yes, it is the last game. We come to the end of a over 6-hour casting session here today. We hope that the future episodes will be a little bit more polished. But I hope you guys enjoyed it anyway. So, for the last time today, in the red trunks, playing Protoss to the northeast of Neoplanet S, it is Root Minigun versus his opponent. In the blue trunks, playing Terran to the southwest position, it is Chaos Latin Gamers Maker.
All right, now this map, very, very small map. We saw some aggression attempted on this map by Maker in a previous game versus his opponent. It was flip spawns, not that that really matters all that much, but will we be seeing that once again? If you're going to be going for early aggression, this is probably one of the better maps to do it on, especially considering a lot of the other maps in the map pool right now are very large. And TB, you're predicting something a little bit funky, so now I'm eagerly awaiting such funkiness. And Minigun, I assume what Minigun's going to do here, just based on every game we've seen ever, is just try to defend.
Yeah, and Minigun tends to be the more defensive player in this matchup, and then he seems to do pretty well based on that. You can't really argue with his style, because he very rarely makes mistakes. When he does make a mistake, he gets caught out of position. We may see the same thing from Maker. I mean, what we do know from Maker is he always starts with gas every single time. Sometimes he goes gas first, but he's always throwing that gas down. But the question is, what does he then do with it? Do we see exactly the same build? Because I feel like Minigun's just got wise to it now. Is this a map where it works better? No. Not in my opinion.
Bro right there, scouting out. We'll see that gas. You can see that's the first thing he goes to check is both of those gas to see. Yep, there's 3 SCVs inside. It's probably going to be a Reaper on the way first. I don't think Minigun knows that it'll be a Marine first, just because he didn't see when those SCVs transferred in there, but it will indeed be Marine first. Might be a Reaper to follow it up, as again, scouting is nearly impossible. But Minigun throwing down his second gas. No, I don't think he made a Zealot, so no Zealot out just yet. And we'll see if he decides. He does go for it once again, so he really likes this Zealot before Stalker style.
That's fine. It seems to work pretty well, but no Reaper this time. So this is a different build. The gas is being used to get an earlier factory. I would love to see Widowmine drop from Maker. I would love to see that, because he hasn't really used it all tournament. He obviously used Widowmines against Vibe to great effect, but Widowmine drop against Protoss is really good depending on where they go. If they go an early Robo, it's not so good. If they go a Stargate with an Oracle, can be good, depends. It depends if the Oracle is halfway across the map by the time the Widowmines actually hit. But if they don't have some kind of detection, then Widowmine could be just horrible to deal with. But we'll see. We may just see... this is really interesting. That's Concussive Shell. We could see Marauder Hellion here, maybe. That would be interesting.
Yeah, quite an interesting play there. It is going to be a Widowmine for now. Mothership Core is going to move out and spot this, unless the 2 Marines actually get a good angle and scare the Mothership Core away before it does spot. One thing I want to mention about the Widowmines is it does not kill roaches in one shot, but it does kill stalkers in one shot. I think that's something that a lot